coming to you again, man, with a little tidbit that I have for you today. Um, this is another thing that's been on my mind. I'm still trying to figure out how to do this recording thing, but I say if I can do it on live, let me just do it on live. I hope you see my uh see the title to this show. I hope I can get it. I hope it's showing up. I know it's showing up on the bottom half down under my name, Coach Marv. And but the title is Cowboy Nation. Let's not be too thirsty. Um, thirsty. I'm hearing a lot of thirstiness from our fans about the overall season, um, wanting, um, concerned about certain things and how that we need to finish up and do. Um, and it just got even heightened even more when they put us to play the first game of the season against the Super Bowl champs in our division on Thursday night football. It's a rival game. It's an NFC East game. They're gonna have their banner. Um, it's a mega game. But I just want to give it to you what I'm feeling from the coach's point of view. What I believe that Schottenheimer is going through at this particular time, and his where he needs to be um, with this, and to try to calm sometime the Cowboy Nation in our anxieties. Not saying that we're anxiety because we feel we're gonna lose. We're very confident. I'm very confident we're gonna play well, depending on how we prepare. But I think we have a level of what I consider thirsty. And that's the new school thing about being thirsty. That's when I was coming up. That wasn't the thing that was said, but being thirsty, and too anxious and too overbearing about certain things and rushing things before you put in the work, or having unrealistic expectations too early, not growing to what you need to be, um, cheating the process, skipping steps. All those things can get you in trouble, and it can give you a lack of being even keel. It can get in the way of you having a team that can deal with adversity and a team that can deal with success. This can we don't want to be too thirsty in week one, or too thirsty before we even get to the point of training camp. We haven't had a total team minicamp yet with veterans and rookies. This team is not this whole coaching staff hasn't got a chance to get on the grass with this collection of players that they have brought together before we start even in the midst of it. And I don't want to get it wrong saying that, man, I love what our people out there doing and pushing ideas. But there's some things that these coaches have seen with players that they've got. They have done some evaluations, and for us to win, it's had to be a collection of players, and it's going to have to be a collection of some very good coaching to get some players to unlock some of the things that we need them to do. If you look back at any championship team, I tell you, look at any championship team, and there's some players that had some extremely good years that nobody said when they were coming into the season that they were going to be that way. And those coaching staffs and organizations were able to unlock people to have good years and play major roles. If you heard me before, if I've said this, I've said this in the live screens when we've been doing the watch party, is it's a sum of the parts. And you're gonna win a championship based off if you can have your stars have moments, but not have to have the moments for 17, 20 weeks. But if the bottom of your roster can have their career years, if you can have more players that have career years, and now what you mean by that, Coach? I know you say career years. Well, everybody's not going to be Pro Bowlers or all pros. No, a career year for a backup, maybe a guy that is on the practice squad. A career year from them is he's getting minutes, and he's contributing on the team. He went from not having no tackles to this year he might have had 30 tackles and 1 sack. And then he was able to be solid on the field. If you could get more guys to have their career year, their best year, to be even better than they were the year before, or better than what they ever been before, you put those collections of things together, man, that's when you're talking about Super Bowl. And that's what you need. So just getting a guy here, or thinking if we're going to be, if we get certain guys here, that's going to, and I know a lot of people are not saying that's going to get over the work, but there hasn't been no work together put in. So that's what I'm talking about, being thirsty. I'm hearing people talking about, man, this first game, if we don't win this first game, then the season is over. Because if I'm Schottenheimer, I got to get over to my team that it's a process for us to get better. I got to get over to my team that this game, every game is a top-notch game. I got to get over to my team where there has been a lack of focus and a lack of details of not handling success, sometimes not being mindset, not focused, that understand that it's a big game, but it's part of the process. I got to get them to fall in love with the process of becoming a champion. And I know that's telling you a lot, Cowboy Nation. But think about it in your own life, man. When you fall in love of whatever you do good, your job, whatever, your family, if you fall in love with the things that builds that up, you surrender the outcome. Eventually, you're gonna be at a point where nothing ain't gonna be able to touch you, because you love the process. And the process hasn't even started yet for the Cowboys. They haven't even got on the grass yet. Every team is going to be different. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to be a different team this year than they were last year. Nobody takes over from what you stopped off last year and it goes on into the new year. Nope, it doesn't do that. Once the season over, it's over. And it starts over again the next year. So we can't be thirsty, and so, man, and it's nothing wrong, and I'm fired up about it. I'm not saying I'm not fired up about it. Man, you love those type of games. Man, I can't wait till those type of games get, man, I'm going to have goosebumps when those games come around. I am. But we talk about from a Cowboys football team growth aspect. And we talk about how important our voice is. Now, do I think me saying what I'm saying here is going to stop the whole nation from getting too hyped for this game? No, I'm just pointing out the real. That's why it's Coach Marv Real Talk. Inside that locker room, inside what Schottenheimer has to do, he has a very important job. And that job is he got to get his team prepared and hyped because he knows how much this is mean for his team confidence level. But he has to also understand that he has to get them in a point that they're not going to be maybe not at their best, that they're building to get to a ultimate goal. And that's the Super Bowl. And that's more than any important than any regular season game we got. Now, can we look at the Super Bowl and talk about the Super Bowl every day? If I was Schottenheimer, would I talk about the Super Bowl? Would I talk about that in press conferences? Nope. I'll talk about it on the first day. And then that'll be it. I'm going to make every week a Super Bowl. But I'm going to turn it off right after the game. And we're going to, right after that, the game one is over with. We're going to turn it off. And then we'll go back to Super Bowl prep again on game 2. I want to build a pressure on my team that they feel that Super Bowl pressure every week, that they got to be ready so they won't be embarrassed. Because we got a young team. And one thing about young teams, Cowboy Nation, you could get them too thirsty where they get out of sorts. And they can go into the tailspin. That's what, if you think about thirsty, that's what our fan base is. And it's nothing wrong about the fan base being thirsty. I understand. I'm a part of that fan base. It's gone 30 years and we hadn't played the NFC Championship game. But I don't want to play the NFC Championship game. I don't even want to play in a Super Bowl. I want to win a Super Bowl. I'm a fan that long. See, some of y'all ain't been fans when the Cowboys went to 3 straight NFC Championship games with Danny White was quarterback. Danny White was one of the best quarterbacks in Cowboy history. Matter of fact, he had better stats in years than Roger Staubach. Check your history. But the only reason Danny White don't get the acclaim from Cowboys history, he won more games than Roger Staubach. He was part of the best offense in the 70s of the Dallas Cowboys. Not when Rodgers was here. Danny White put up monster numbers, and their offense was even better. His offense, the offense when Danny White was quarterback, was better than the offense was when Roger Staubach was quarterback. But there was one difference, and what I keep trying to tell everybody, defense is going to win a championship for us. There was one difference between Danny White when Danny White was quarterback and when Roger Staubach was quarterback. The defense was better when Roger Staubach was quarterback, and they was a little bit older and not as good when Danny White was quarterback. The offense was better. Go back and check your history. When Danny White was quarterback, the offense was better. They were putting up big-time numbers back then. And they went to 3 straight NFC Championship games. I watched them every year. We were dominating during the regular season. We get in the playoffs. We lost the first year to Washington. No, we lost the first year to San Francisco. Yep, Danny White was the quarterback with San Francisco. And everybody used to talk about Danny White. They always put pressure on Danny White's hand. Danny White would always throw an interception or do something to kill. But it really, the defense was okay, but the defense had gotten older, and the defense was not as dominant. Wasn't the defense was not the doomsday defense when Danny White was playing. They wasn't bad because you don't win that many games with a bad defense, but they wasn't dominant like they were with Roger. The 2 Super Bowls Roger won, he didn't do much. The defense dominated the games. And our fans were thirsty then because Roger had put us on the point of being thirsty. I don't think our fans were thirsty then. See, when you win a championship, you always in the championship like we were at that time, and we was always, in contention. Always, I don't know how many NFC championship games we went to. We weren't thirsty. We was confident. We wasn't all over the Cowboys organization at that time if they made a draft pick or they signed somebody or they let somebody go because we trusted the organization. We trusted it. We've been winning all the time. So when guys left or guys, we expected the next guy, we expected the coaching staff we expected Tom Landry to win without him. But we went to 3 straight championship games. You don't know how much I cried when we lost all 3 of those. We lost to San Francisco. We got blown out by the Redskins. Then we got blown out by the Eagles with William Montgomery and Al Carmichael and them. See, I'm old enough to remember, it ain't about just going. We lost. If you go back to the championship game before the Super Bowl, the Cowboys have been in more big championship games than most organizations have. One time the Cowboys was known, and I'm talking to fans that don't know this. The Cowboys were known, and Tom Landry was known as the team that could not win the big game. Roger Staubach used to have the mantra that he could not win the big game. Roger Staubach. Like I say, history repeats itself. But we was thirsty. Where we are now is called thirsty. That's when we get to be thirsty. And I think sometimes we get too much at this particular point in time. I want to explain to you what I believe by thirsty. And I have to ask myself these questions. When we was going through I think the biggest free agent move or biggest move this offseason, and it's going to turn out to be the biggest move this offseason, wasn't a draft. It wasn't a Pickens trade. It was the point that we changed our coaches, and we are now showing that we given the coaches, we have now lame duck coaches, and we're allowed to come this coach to be a part of hiring his coaching staff, and none of them on 1-year contracts. So that means that they have something invested there, and we're giving them a fresh start to get this team together. Last year we had dead men walking. And I said this last year. And my Cowboy fandom maybe keep on because I'm not gonna give up. I'm always be in there. I'm gonna be in there, man. But I have said this, and think about this. There has never been a lame duck coach to ever win anything in the NFL in the history. And I told you, if things start to go bad when you have lame duck coaches, Mike Zimmer came in here. Who could he hire, man? He hired some of the guys he hired. They're not even coaching now. They didn't get jobs. He'd had to hire guys to come in on 1 year contracts. He on a 1 year contract, the head coach on 1 year contract. These guys just came there to get a paycheck, man. They weren't invested in the Cowboys or this team. So the biggest acquisition you made this year is you got something of substance at coaching. I didn't say that they was the greatest coaches. That's still to be determined. But one thing I can say, they're not lamed up. I like a lot of their resumes, and they're invested into what's going on. That's going to pay a difference, people. That's going to be a big difference to the mentality of this football team and how it goes about. But we're talking about getting players getting there, but we forgetting that, hey, man, we got to give some trust to our coaching staff to get the best out of our players and to get some diamonds out of the rough. Because believe it or not, if this season goes well, and I'm telling you what I know about with coaching, if this season goes like I think it's going to go and how I hope and I really pray for it to go, there's going to be some stars made out of some people that y'all ain't even seen, that y'all going to say, oh, shucks. Just like when Donovan Wilson came on the scene. Just like when Kearse came on the scene for that 1 year. Just like when Bland came on the scene. Just like Terrence Steele came on the scene. And as long as y'all been watching Cowboys, we done seen more and more of those came on the scene. People that, well, man, I ain't know, came on the scene. There's been people we let go from this organization that went on to be big-time players. So there's a lot of players that's going to come on the scene that's going to make this team a championship team. But you can't be thirsty, fans. Listen, we're talking about getting this player, getting that player, getting this player. And yes, player acquisition is very important. I really believe they let this coaching staff and Schottenham really find, and he's looking for fits, not names. They're looking for fits. I listened to the interview, man. I want you to go back right after the draft. They had all the interview people in the 103.5 was having the coaches come in for interviews. I heard a defensive line coach come in there. The one that got from the Jets, the one that everybody was saying, man, he do a great job developing his passion and his how he talked about it. And he said something, and all the rest of the coaches who came in there, the brand new coach that came in there and talked in those interviews. And like I told you, Coach Marv, he listened to things. And I want y'all to listen to those type things. One thing that all those coaches said, they're like, man, there's a lot of talent on this team. They ain't lying. We got enough talent to win. Now, is that talent underachieving? Is that talent mentally ready to do or come about do something? Are we getting people who are peaking out and not getting better because of the mental capacity? Yeah, I would say that. But that defensive line coach like, man, we got some talent here, man. Yeah, I know he probably say, damn. Know who probably told him he got talent here? What's the defensive end that he had here before that came here We thought we were gonna sign him back again because he came for the Jets. It had the knee injury. Well, anyway, he's what I forgot the guy name. If somebody in the chat, if somebody's still here in the chat, put that guy in that name of that guy that that came here, played defensive end, that came from the Jets, that we thought we were gonna keep him because White Cotton really liked him. Know why White Cotton says that we got a lot of talent? Because that guy that went back and told him, hey man, Dallas got some goddamn talent. Got some talent over there, man. This here ain't a team in the NFL talks about our talent and we ain't got no talent. Everybody talk about it that we saw mentally. Green Bay ain't come on the sideline and say, oh man, they ain't got no talent. We more talented. They said they front runners. Know what that's saying? Yeah, Carl Lawson. Carl Lawson probably said they got so much talent that they probably ain't even bring me back. White Cotton said, man, they got a lot. And listen, the offensive line coach said it. The offensive line, I think if Lou was in there, Lou would be very I don't know if Lou listens to that interview. Lou Takes is in the chat here, man. Man, let me tell you something. That guy right there, Lou Takes, man, he's putting it down, man. And that's how he goes to work for the Cowboy Nation. But Lou, if Lou's listening to him, I want to understand what the offensive line coach said. The offensive line coach that came from Kansas State, he said that he had told the center in college that he's going to be a center. He didn't get to Dallas, and that just came across. He told him in college that what he was going to be a center. And you know when Dallas went to scout him, you don't think they talked to the coach? They already had that in mind because his coach already predicted him being center. So they ain't come by happenstance. But these people like that, man. These people know that the Cowboys got talent. But our thirstiness as fans sometimes. I'm not saying that I'm all and saying I know that these coaches going to be like the coaching staff for the Hall of Fame coaching staff. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I like their resumes, but I'm saying this to the Cowboy Nation. If we don't trust them to do a hell of a job, I don't give a damn who you bring in here. Good players can't take bad coaching. When it's all said and done, the player's going to get all the credit. But Schottenheim has a job to do to now build a culture and build a football team. Now, you think he's going to build that football team between now and the first game of the season on Thursday night? You think we're going to have the whole thing put together and we're going to be built to win a Super Bowl right then? He done put everything together. He got it all together. It's all together, and we ready to rock and roll. They may be okay. They may be okay to win that game. But there's a lot of building have to do because you got to build trust. Because everything you putting into that team, all those reasons why you're doing certain things, that new style you're trying to put in there, that new accountability you're trying to put in there, that new focus you're trying to put in there, it's only going to get tested when it goes into the furnace. And every week, the furnace get hotter and hotter. And you mold your team to get better and better. It's gonna take us 4 weeks to get locked in solid with Mac Eaglefoot's defense. That don't mean we're gonna go out and drop and lay an egg. But football is just that way, man. It's a process. And we can't be thirsty as fans. I'm not saying, and I'm not denigrating our fans, but I'm just saying, chill. Let's see us put this thing together. We already talking about we got guys that we trying to replace guys, and we listen, we ain't even seen them on the grass yet. But I know what that is, man. And I go through this at the barbershop. And one thing about it, when I go to the barbershop and I got a lot of people in my barbershop, you would think I would go to the barbershop and got a lot of Cowboy fans. No, it's a bunch of Cowboy haters. And we get there and we go there and everybody asks you questions. Y'all will be around a lot of people that hate the Cowboys. They tell what the Cowboys gonna do, what y'all got. And as Cowboy fans, we want to say, man, we got this receiver. Man, we got this bad running back. We got this bad this and that. We signed this big time free agent. So we think that that's the way we could shut people up because we made the big move out in the free agency or draft. And sometimes we don't make no big moves. We have people talking trash to us, and then for our own personal reasons, we want the Cowboys to go out and do something crazy so we can get people off of our back. Now, to be honest with ourselves, that's what we want people to get off our back. I hear people talking about, man, we got to win that first game for the to keep the momentum with the fan base. Let me tell you something. If it's content creators on this thing right now, and the ones that's on this live screen or listen to the live screen right now, most of them, the ones I deal with, are Cowboy fans, true and blue. They're gonna be on this. They're gonna be doing this content. If we were 3-13, or 3-14, or we were 14-3. I love the Cowboys when they were 1-15. I still had shirts and a license plate. And if you think you have to win certain games or win by 40 burgers to keep the Cowboy fans in tune, you're trying to impress people that you don't need to impress. That's why I keep trying to tell the fans about being exciting or winning football games. I don't care if we put up 40 points a game. As I said, go back in history. Danny White was putting up 30 points a game. He would put up more points a game in their offense than when Roger Staubach was here. But we weren't winning because the defense wasn't good enough. Get us a great defense here, and as long as we do enough to win, we don't have to prove nothing to nobody. We just have to be the last man standing. I wish Schottenheimer came to me and got some quotes from me about what I'll be saying the mantra for this team would be. Well, we're gonna go hard. The last man standing. They ain't nothing wrong. Listen, they ain't nothing wrong. I see people putting in the chat talking about rookies and vets. Listen here. If a guy been on that foot in the NFL more than if he been in the NFL past 2 years, he is a veteran. I just say our team is young, but we got a lot of vets. The average lifespan, the average guy in the league lasted what, 3.5, 4 years. You don't have to have 9, 10-year guys to say they veterans. I keep hearing people say, "Man, we need to get a veteran wide receiver." Okay, how long Pickett's been in the league? Ain't he been in the league just as long as Tolbert? But he considered being a vet. If a guy been in the league 2, 3 years, man, he's a vet. So you're gonna have to get that out of these guys. I mean, Kansas City. Do anybody know any other defensive lineman other than Talafa, the defensive end? But anybody talk about any other the defensive tackles they have other than they talking about Jones? But they get a whole lot out of them other ones to get to be that stout against the run. They ain't just stopped the run with this Jones when they shut Philadelphia down. Do anybody believe Philadelphia had a guy that wasn't the guy out of Georgia? It was another guy that was on that defensive line that was much smaller, and he got signed by New England. He got a big bag this year because he was just that dominant in the defensive line for Philadelphia last year, and nobody talked about him before the season started. That's what I'm saying, man. You may have some diamonds right here in this rough. What you have to do is you say, "Hey, man, I'm gonna trust that they bring these guys in, and we're gonna trust that they do their job." What I'm putting pressure on is the coaches. I'm too putting pressure on Jerry Jones. Them, listen, man. We go out there and talk about Jerry and them, this and that. Man, I've always said this: if you got to get 100, if I need a coach that I got to continue to get stuff for, I mean I ain't got to get him some stuff, but I got to continue to get this stuff and this stuff. I'm gonna find myself just running out of things, and I think I think I think it's been documented that the Joneses said at the beginning of the year that they don't feel like development, and I think they had lost the all gumption with Mike McCarthy out that they had a team that should have won against Green Bay, and they felt the team they knew the team wasn't ready. I told you I've had firsthand experience with somebody that was in that locker room. Yeah, I talked to some people that and they back now, and I'm gonna have more inside. I'm gonna have some more inside words. I had some inside information that the Cowboys was already talking about when they played Green Bay. They was already talking about the championship game, which was 2 games later. Matter of fact, they were watching film of San Francisco on the week of the Green Bay game because they thought they were going to be in the NFC Championship game. That means they had to be 2 teams before they got to play San Francisco. That mindset wasn't right. And when they got punched in the mouth, they went into shock. And when a team goes into shock, there ain't no recovering for that game because their mindset went right. Because yes, and our fans were part of it too. Because we so thirsty about winning the championship that we forget about it. We trying to skip steps. So I wanted it to be right. And I say thirsty, just be patient. We had even got the whole team on the field. I believe the Cowboys feel good about those guys. Rogers, the guy they got from Auburn last year, because I felt they felt good about him last year. He done got his peanut butter. He done got to be able to work out. I feel extremely good about Mozzie. Listen, man, Mozzie played better. We're looking. This is what I say about Thirsty. If we don't win and a guy first round draft pick, we looking for a guy that Mozzie don't put up numbers like Carter at Philadelphia. We saying he's a bust. He might not never do that, but he might do a great job at his job. I'm case in point. Russell Maryland probably never made no. Russell Maryland was the first draft pick in the draft. The first pick in the whole entire draft. I don't think if he made one Pro Bowl in his tenure at Dallas. He's not going into the Ring of Honor. But people talk highly of Russell Maryland because he did his job in a collection of defensive tackles, and they won. That's why I keep trying to tell these players in Dallas if they can hear me or find some way they can hear me. Don't worry about numbers. Let me say this maybe in my little show, it may get out to George Pickens. Don't worry about numbers. Worry about doing things to win games. Because if you win and we win big and we go to the NFC Championship game and go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl, people are going to be talking about whatever your numbers is. They're going to be saying how great you are. They're talking about Smith, the receiver in Philadelphia right now, talking about they're a great tandem. He only had 68 catches for 800 yards and 7 touchdowns last year. But they say he was so great. If you win, they're going to magnify whatever you did by 3 times. Or you can catch the ball for 100 times, get us out of rhythm, play a fast-paced game. CeeDee Lamb, we don't have a physical presence. When we get against tough teams, they limit us. We lose. You have big numbers, but people still be talking about you because when we lose, they're going to point out every bad play you made. Yep, they sure are. They're going to point out everything you did. Just win. And I'm not just saying that to Pickens. I'm saying that to everybody on the team. Fill your role and win. Now, how they going to fit in that role? This is where I keep talking about Thirsty. We don't know because we ain't gave our Schottenheimer and this coaching staff to even get in the kitchen and cook. They might want to make lamb chops. We're trying to buy their ribs. We could do some investigating on our end and say, well, this is what we think they are, or that's what they say. But we got to wait. You think that they're giving out all this stuff? Watch what they do. And I can tell you, I'll be able to tell you as a coach, just about how hard they work and the reaction I get from the players. If your players this year say this training camp is one of the hardest, more intense training camps that they ever had, put a feather in your hat to be more confident. If they talk about how much they like training camp and it was, we were observing our bodies and all that, then you better start being worried. In Law Nation show today, somebody put a super chat in there saying this is the thirstiness about we so into this Philadelphia game thinking if we don't win the game, the whole nation gonna be, oh man, that's it for the season. Yeah, that's how we are. Some of us are. But they were like, man, if we don't win, and it was an interesting point. His question was, Dak hadn't played in so long because he was out the rest of the majority of this season. So will he play in preseason to be ready, at least get some snaps in preseason, to have some game time to be ready for that big game, first game of the season? That's a very great question. And teams, some go with their philosophy of playing, some don't. Some do, some don't. And how are we gonna get guys ready coming off, and somebody was saying that coming off injuries like Diggs and Overshawn, we're not gonna let them, because we're gonna depend on these guys, and they're how we gonna be confident and they coming off injuries. I'm gonna get to that point when I'm gonna get to that point where I see the Cowboys have made those moves already. But let's talk about that. Let's talk about the Dak thing first. Do play. Some teams don't play the guys, some teams do. Well, I'm going like this. Let me go to the dynasties. I'm gonna do it like the guys that won, not guys that just won one time. I'm going on with the guys that won. They had a run for like 8, 9, 6, 7, 10 years of dominance. I'm going on what Bill Belichick did for that 20 years where they had a dominance where they always was in there with Tom Brady for what, 15 years. I'm going on what Kansas City has done since they've been dominating for the last 7 years. Regardless if they won the Super Bowl, they've been what, 5 out of the last 7 years, back-to-back 3 years. I want to go with those teams. I want to go with the Cowboys when we had a run for 3 out of 4 championships. I want to go to the dominant teams that have been dominant for a long period of time. That's how I am. I always look back, when you look back in history, I like to copy what is ultimately successful. Because I always say this, and y'all, whoever's in the chat, write this down for yourself. And once I get a teleprompter or start putting stuff on, I'll be in it. There's a lot of people that want to be successful. There's a lot of people that wants the house in the Hamptons, the beach house in California, to travel the world. There's a lot of people want that. But there's going to be very few that's going to put in the effort in the sun to get it. I told Law Nation on one show, I said, listen, everybody want 150 or 60,000 subscribers like Law got. But ain't nobody going to, but when Law tell them, say, hey, you got to put out a video every day, sometimes 2-3 times a day. You got to stay up late at night. You got to do this. You got to get this. You got to send this out. You got to do this. You got to make sure you keep up all that. Nobody want to do all that. But they want the end result, but they ain't going to put in the work to get that. But if they put in that same work, they got a chance to get that way. And if you ain't going to outwork the champ, how you going to beat the champ? So I say that by with Dak Prescott, because Tom Brady played every year in his league. Every year, he played a whole half of football, and his starting unit played a whole half of football all the time he was in New England. Patrick Mahomes played a whole half of football every year with Kansas City, their whole starters. Yeah. You can't play this game and worry about people getting hurt. I'd rather have my team ready and seasoned, because then I know I got the number 1 person ready, number 2, number 3 person ready. Then to take it easy on our guys, and then I lose guys anyway, and then I ain't got my other guys ready because we've been so soft. That's not being neglected. But listen, man, if I put my quarterback out there to run a quarter, and if he get hurt, then that's on me. Because I ain't gonna do no plays that he got to hope. He gonna do 3 to 4 step drops, and when he hit his back foot, the ball got to come out. He not trying to scramble around to make no plays. He's gonna be instructed. We in a this. It's gonna be simple. We're gonna have a very simple offense. It's gonna be we're gonna run the ball, hand it off. He ain't gonna be running no bootlegs. He ain't gonna have no scrambling drill. If the play ain't there, throw the ball out of bounds or throw the ball away. But he gets some rhythm with some live bullets. And if he can't stay in there for a series or two, because we can't, because we worried about it, he stepped the wrong way, he can do that in practice. But I want to be ready. Going back to what I was saying about, and you got to be, yeah. This is how we get our guys conditioned. But let's go back to what we talking about. We depended on confident on guys like this that's hurt, like Diggs and Overshawn. The Cowboys fortified themselves for this. The Cowboys even now I'm finna make a lot of people mad now. I love the first round draft pick, but he's still a rookie. And he still got to do it on this level. And the Cowboys fortified themselves by picking up other guards. Here it is. Y'all want to say veterans? Well, guys that have played in this league and they think they got some good. Yeah. Because if he does have some growing pains, we okay. That's what you do, man. Listen, man, I ain't never had no problem with Will McClay and these guys with now, yeah, they some cheapskates, but well, they hard to negotiate. But I ain't never had them problems finding diamonds in the rough and trying to add pieces. You're not gonna be right about everybody. And that's what kills me about our fans. If they wrong about somebody, we start, oh man, no man. Listen, we're the only fan base that starts, we'll pump a guy that's been drafted in the 7th round like crazy, and then we'll turn on the person when the team say, well, hey, we'll go crazy about him and get him all this, pump him up. And then when the team said we're gonna trust in him, then we said nah. And then we had one bad game, we like, oh man, I'm glad we didn't do that with Bland. And a lot of other people. Terrence Steele came out, I was like, man, I kept telling him when I first seen Terrence Steele, I was like, man, get Terrence Steele out of there. But you know something? They liked him and he worked hard. And listen, y'all can talk all y'all want. The last 5 games of the season, or 6 games of the season, when we start running the ball more, did anybody talk about Terrence Steele then? And you had to protect Cooper Rush better than you had to take that. Because Cooper Rush couldn't move past, he couldn't dodge a sign. So, like I said, we got to have patience with these guys. They're not looking for Overshawn to come back and be a make. Listen, man, that guy, that linebacker they got in Chicago, he's a linebacker. When we talk about our run defense, our linebackers gonna make our run defense better. Let me tell you something. Do you remember? And now I'm finna shoot y'all something. Y'all go look it up. When Matt Uberfos was here before, and he had Jalen Smith, and then he had the beginning of LVE career, and even with Sean Lee, right? Do y'all remember when Matt Uberfos was here, when he had Sean Lee, and he had Jalen Smith? Okay. They had defensive linemen that was Nobody. But they were killing people on the run because he just had the defensive line do certain things, and those linebackers was awesome. And he got a collection of linebackers here that's going to be very, very good on this team. Very good on this team. I don't know what's going on, people. That's when you're dealing with equipment. You don't know what your equipment doing, and I'm trying to deal with the equipment and keep the equipment running. But I think Matt Ufu is going to take the linebacking core and he's going to make great improvements with it, which is going to make our run defense even better. Um, and we forget about the guy that we got last year, man. He plays. We got listen. We forget about Solomon Thompson. We forget about these guys that's going to help. The collection of the group is going to be good enough. It's just about, as I said about what I run defense on my last live. It's about we gonna buy into a a mindset of uh, a total mindset of that we're gonna stop the run at all costs, and that's what I want to see if we're gonna do. So that's what I'm saying, people. As I start to close this thing out, man. Thirsty is what I'm saying about Thursday, man. Let's just calm down and let's don't put too much into this Philadelphia game like the season is over if it don't turn out our way. We want to be the last people standing. And we got to understand this guy's putting in something and it's going to take some time and there's going to be some growing pains. But I rather see growing pains and them hard working at it because I know that only pressure makes two things. It either makes diamonds or it busts pipes. And we're trying to get diamonds. So we're gonna have to go through some adversity. Gonna be some things. We may have some injuries, but we're gonna be fortified through all that. Just don't get scared about injuries. Most of the teams is winning these years are having major injuries, and they still winning. Kansas City won two back-to-back Super Bowls, and they lost I don't know how many defensive players, and they had so many injuries when they won two Super Bowls back to back. The Eagles had both of their top wide receivers out 4 games. I think Smith was out 3 games, 3 or 4 games, and Brown was out 3 or 4 games the whole season. And Jalen Hurts was out 3 games, 3 to 4 games. But they won the Super Bowl. So injuries is gonna be there. But if your team is built correctly, you're gonna be able to withstand those. And we need to find the diamonds in the rough. We need to start encouraging these guys on the roster to get better and count on them and not say, "Oh man, we need to replace them." Because a lot of these guys, I believe, because if you look back on our team, it's going to be some people, and some of the parts is what's going to win the Super Bowl for us. When we look back at this year and we see us winning the Super Bowl, we're going to look back and say, "Man, there's some guys that came through." And with Osa, Solomon, man, listen, man. We're talking about we keep talking about and like we just gonna have Osa out there just rushing the pass. Osa is gonna be even more dominant with an even better coach, and he's gonna be even more dominant. And this aspect about you got to be big to stop the run in these days of NFL with zone reads, you just got to be able to get off blocks, and your linebackers got to be able to attack the line of scrimmage. These guys, ain't nobody running no power schemes no more. And it's about mentality. is about if you really want to get out there and do it and get it done. So just be patient. I feel good about it. I think we're looking for names, but one Texas in this league probably gonna play true one Texas in this defense. Probably gonna play if this defense is doing well. If this defense, I'm gonna give you like the stats. I'm gonna give you some stats a coach like. I want my defense to play no more than between 55 to 60 snaps. If they play 55 to 60 to 65 snaps, we should dominate every game. Anytime the defense get over the 70 snaps or even more than 70 snaps, I don't care how good your defense is, it's going to break down. Let me say that again. I don't care how good your defense is, it's going to break down. And if you keep a defense, if your defense can stay out there for 55 snaps, they're going to be dominant. That means you control the time possession, and that's where you now. Let's say if our defense is around 50 to 60 snaps, 60, 65 snaps, a true one tech, true big boy one tech, maybe getting you about 17, 18 plays, maybe 20, maybe. Rotating between 2 or 3 guys, you only getting about 5, 7 plays, 10 plays at most of each one. There ain't enough snaps to have 3 or 4 one tech. And now we in the numbers game. When we talk about we need to get this and get that, there's a numbers game, and I think sometimes we forget about that in the NFL level. About okay, we talking about getting all this and getting this and that, but there's a number game about they're not probably gonna care no more than about 11 defensive linemen or 12. They're gonna care about 11, maybe 10, 11 offensive linemen. They ain't gonna care about maybe 4, possibly if they care fullback, running backs. 6 receivers, not 7, not 8, not 9. You got limitations, people. So if you bring a veteran in here, one, if he a top-notch veteran, fine, that's fine. But there ain't really too many top-notch guys out there right now. And if you bring a guy in here as a veteran, he gonna want guaranteed money. And when you gonna get to see him? You think you're gonna bring a veteran in here and he gonna get to play preseason snaps? Because if he on my team, he gonna have to play preseason snap. And he gonna be like, man, I'm a vet. No. I got to have this team where you got to show and prove. Now, Parsons may not play none, but he probably will play some too. But you got to show and prove. And we talking about we need stuff, and these guys ain't hit the grass yet. Cowboys probably make some decisions about some of these guys maybe after the first joint practice in OTAs when they find out somebody to come in here and say this guy can't pick up the defensive calls. Somebody may rule themselves out. Oh, he been late to practice. Or this guy's not fitting in here. He's not a fit. This guy's out of shape. And they'll make a move. But right now, we ain't even see the grass. No. I think we got no defensive tackles. So okay, there is no real big time veterans out there. And listen, Osa's gonna play. He's not playing 50 snaps no more. Solomon Thompson's gonna play because he's been brought over here by the defensive line coach. And if you watch his tape, this guy's a true veteran, and he's been around for a long time. And he's a former first round draft pick, but he understands his role, and they're gonna play in there together. Mozzie's gonna play because if you look at his tape last year, it's good. So we're talking about getting somebody in here, like we getting somebody in here like we have, like we got 50 plays for him. And I think this coaching staff, this defensive line coach, done looked at what he got here, and I'm gonna let that be his call. Because somewhere down the line, as I keep trying to tell y'all, somewhere down the line, our coaches gonna have to uncover some diamonds in the rough. And that's every year that happens. It happens every year, man. It happens every year that guys get it comes out and somebody gets a diamond in the rough. That happens every year. I can't even call the guy name, but somebody in the chat might know the Philadelphia Eagles defensive tackle that everybody kept talking about the big guy from Georgia. He didn't even play. Matter of fact, they didn't even pick up his 5th-year option. They didn't even pick up his 5th-year option. And then they got another guy that much smaller that came in. Yeah, he was drafted, but nobody gave him the hype. Their new defensive line coach come in and give him playing time. Everybody talked about, everybody say this ain't, that ain't, everybody was like, man, why don't play the big guy? He ain't play him. This guy have a great season, not an all-pro season, but a season that everybody sees what he does, and he gets a big bag from New England. Look that up, y'all. Find out with the guy that got signed free agent out of Philadelphia last year and signed. Nobody talked about him at the beginning of the year. Everybody talk about, they're gonna get the guy, the Georgia guy going. Not Carter, but they talking about they'll get the other guy going. Like I said, man, we looking for names because we trying to get that saying, oh man, well that's that splash thing. But listen, they got that guy up, and listen, he got them what they needed. They got rid of Hassan Reddick. Sweat gives a big time contract. They didn't sweat about, letting the guy because his name was so great. And if he's a major defensive tackle and somebody to let him go now, guess what? He got some problems. So the Cowboys have showed you that they want to go young, and they want guys that they come in here and listen. I believe what Schottenheim saying, and that's why I tell you don't be thirsty and kind of trust your coaches. If got to think about it 2 ways, and I'm getting into the Pickens thing, and hopefully I'm gonna release that video, man, of my keys of culture in these shorts because that's very important. But I'm gonna get it out, man, because and it's gonna come out this weekend, hopefully. So y'all know how I'm thinking about him putting this thing together and how we're gonna build a culture. The five things of building this culture, and the five things that was a narrative of the Cowboys or how teams looked at us in the past. But if I'm Schottenheimer here, it's a tough act when he's trying to put a culture in place that you get a guy named Pickens. And at first, I was kind of skeptical of it because if you're trying to build a culture, you don't want, even though he's talented, there's no doubt that. But you don't want nobody to come in that's going to disrupt what you're trying to put in. Because you putting it in is going to be more important than whatever talent he got. Now, I don't know if y'all understand that. The talent that Pickens can bring you, and I'm not saying this, and I'm just saying just how I first thought about it. The talent that Pickens can provide you can be a problem if he doesn't fit into the core of what you're trying to do. Because he can destroy what culture you're trying to put in, and that's going to kill your team. See, I don't think some people understand that. Sometimes you can't pick talent over what it does to divisive into the locker room, because football is the biggest team sport in the history of team sports. So you can get a guy that's very talented, but he destroys the culture of the locker room. I ain't saying he got to be a problem child, but he scores with the culture. And the culture don't mean that he gets in trouble or so and so, but he destroys the culture. And that's a difference than just getting in trouble. It can be detrimental. Let me put it like this. Charles Haley was a head case. Everybody say he was crazy. He would get in with coaches. He got in with Jimmy Johnson. But Jimmy stood up to him, and then they kind of got on the right page. But when everybody talk about Charles Haley, they talk about he's one of the most selfish players in the league. And he would sacrifice his stats for the next guy to make a play. He would get with guys, the offensive linemen, even though he might talk trash and go crazy with like Nate Newton, and got with them to help him work out so he can be better, that he could be better because he was worried about the team winning. Now, he was crazy. He was maybe off the chain. Michael Irvin might be out of the strip club all night long. Might get arrested. But Michael Irvin hurt because he felt he let his team down. He ain't hurt because he got in trouble and he got publicity, may cost him some money and lawyers and his family. He was more hurt because he let his team down. And everybody can talk about all the crazy stuff and talk about how selfish he was, but Mike was the ultimate team player. His culture of winning and sacrifice on win whatever else going on. Now, you could have a player that has just as much talent as the Charles Haley's and the Michael Irvins, but he worried about his numbers. He making a beef about, oh man, we scored a touchdown and I ain't get the ball. Oh, we done won 12 games and I'm pouting. I ain't listening. I listen with nobody. I got that right there takes away from the team. And eventually it'll bring the team down. So I just want him to be able to fit. And where I was skeptical of this, it was when I was talking about what Schottenheimer was. I said, this is a first-year coach, even though he's been coaching for 20 years. But he's in this crazy environment. He's seen what the coaching staff, what the head coach was doing last year, last couple of years. He knew that wasn't no good environment. He knew that Then Carlton had this control over this team. And then he's trying to build a culture in this team, and then you're gonna give him somebody who's gonna test that culture and test him. I looked at it like, man, why give him that problem? If you was gonna look for a veteran wide receiver, you could have got a guy that was more mild mannered. But they say, man, look at the ability. And now I admire Schottenheimer because he said, I can handle it. And then I looked, that's the same thing I said. Then I watched, and I need to upload that. I'm gonna upload that video on Twitter or whatever. When Tony Dungy talked about what do Schottenheimer do with Pickens? And it's the same thing I had on a video before that I'm going to release. And this was a couple of days. It was last Saturday I did this. I still ain't released it yet. But if I was Schottenheimer, I'm Dak Prescott ain't gonna be the first person gonna call him. I'm gonna be the first person gonna call him. And I'm gonna be the first person that he gets in Dallas that we got to have a meeting. And I'm gonna go to him and say, hey man, you are extraordinary talent. And we love you here, man. But you got to be a team player first. You ain't the big dog here. His name is CeeDee Lamb. But what you could do is help us win. So if you miss some blocks, or I see you not trying to make a block, I'm going to get somebody else out there, and they're going to help us win. But if you're here thinking about your next step, you're only hurting yourself. Because there's going to be opportunities for you to be great. But when the light ain't on you, I still need you to be great because I know you got it in you. I need that passion to be a team player. See, this is where I had a problem with Pickens more than anything else. We act like the Pittsburgh didn't have a good football season last year. They did. Now, offensively, they did. When y'all was winning games, why you complaining? Because this football team is good without Pickens or with him. And if he can fit into the teamwork and be a fit, he's a great pick. But the Jones is only paying $3.6 million for him. And if he if he rocks the boat of the culture that Schottenheimer is trying to put in, cut his ass. Because that culture is going to take you longer than what other plays that guy can make. Because when it gets down to the nitty gritty, and we need guys to be disciplined to do what they need to do, and we need the small things, he's not going to give you the big play, and you're going to lose by those same small things. I done seen it happen. I even played on the team in college. Some of the guys they gave special privileges because they were so dominant, but they broke the culture. And when we really needed everybody to be on the same page, we failed. Now, that's not saying I don't like Pickens, And I'm gonna say it again, like I said in that thing. Well, like I said, what name? He been on my fantasy football team for the last 3 years, and he done disappointed me sometimes, and he done won some games from me sometimes. And I loved him coming out of Georgia. Daddy is a monster, but he's not the man here. I've heard some. You want to talk about thirsty? I'll listen to uh Joe Boo Sports, my man. Um, hey, he does a great job too, man. Um, but he had a little live show. They were talking. And I didn't, when I started hearing rhetoric, I just turned away from it. Man, we got Cowboy fans thinking the man, Pickett's gonna come in here and be the number one wide receiver. See what I'm talking about? See how we allow other people that we allow, and you know something, that probably came from somebody that wasn't a Cowboy fan, but set the seed to our Cowboy fans to start saying that. And this is what I said. I will say this again, say this, man, Cowboy Nation. Stop allowing people who are not Cowboy fans give us Mark Holmes. Stop allowing people, and I'm not saying Mark said it was somebody on the show who was a Cowboy fan, but he probably let his mind get infiltrated with a seed that was somebody else put in there. And it wasn't Mark Holmes, one of the people on this show. But Cowboy fans, stop listening and getting seeds of turmoil or confusion from people who are not Cowboy fans. They'll start giving you all kind of crazy stuff, right? And then we'll start believing it, and then we'll start arguing with our own Cowboy Nation over some idea somebody who don't even care about the Cowboys gave you. Yeah, Terry, whatever it is. We talking about wide receiver 2. Terrence Williams was one of the sorriest wide receiver 2s in the world. He couldn't catch the ball, but the offense made him okay. If they had a better wide receiver 2, we would have been even better with Tony Romo. T. Williams, man, the offense made him. And listen, this is what I'm saying. Our offense is gonna make it could have made Joe. Listen, I never understood, man, how we disregard of Jalen Tolman, man. 60-some catches, 600-some yards, and 7 touchdowns without playing with his quarterback for 9 games. And I posted on Twitter. I went and broke down his games. I went and broke down his stats. He had 60-some catches. He had 7 touchdowns. He had 30 of those catches. No, he had 58 catches. He had 30 catches, 59 catches. He had 30 catches when Dak Prescott played the first 8 games. Dak Prescott gave him most of his targets. And his targets and all that went down for the second half of the season. And then I love my man Boss Cowboy. And he did a breakdown of Jalen Tolman. Yes, he did. But the kid caught most of his passes when he had to turn his back to the goalpost. The 2 instances on that thing that they showed him going down the field that he had to jump for the ball, he caught those balls. We don't even throw the ball to CD. Well, I'm saying that we ain't throw the ball to CD Lamb down the field for him to jump the ball, and he came out of college as a jump ball guy. And only thing we want to get, we keep, and I hear people talk about, I think, what is saying? Is the guy do he drop the balls? No. He don't have no drop ball problem. But we're judging a guy because he was based in an offense that was not receiver friendly. You think if we had Pickens here last year, and you had him running stop routes and turn routes, we talking about throwing the ball down the field. Why we don't throw the ball down the field on CD Lamb? I said last year on the live screen many times, CD deep cross the middle, down the field. But how many catches we give the ball to CD Lamb within 5 or 10 yards of the line of scrimmage and let him just get beat up and hit? How many times we had CD Lamb doing jump balls down the sideline or down the middle of the field? Don't you remember Oklahoma? That's what he used to do. We didn't even utilize his skill set. So if the guy would have did listen, and what we say what we want players to do, we want players to improve, right? Okay. The guy went from no catches to the next year he had 20. Then he went all the way up to 59 without his quarterback, and his touchdowns quadrupled from his first year. If he could take, and listen, I said this on one of my lives. I don't think nobody does it. I said this. One thing I do know, and this is not about Jalen Tolbert or Mozzie Smith, Mozzie or what. But I do know in my history of working with players and being in this game, players develop the same way. Usually, the player how a player develops when he goes to another level, usually keeps that same development trend keeps on going. If you go back to Mozzie Smith, when he came to Michigan, he had to get his body into college football shape. He was strong in high school, but he struggled his first year. And as he started to get more involved in getting this, he built himself up to being a first round draft pick. But he wasn't a first round draft pick when he first got to Michigan. And he got better to be a first round draft pick. If you look at Jalen Tolbert, when he went to South Alabama, his first year was horrible. And he got better every year to the point after he got finished there, he was a third round draft pick for the Dallas Cowboys. And they're doing the same development here that they did there in their colleges. Mozzie got much better from year one. But now he had injuries. And if you go into last year at the offseason, he had a shoulder surgery. So when he came in this year, he's going to be slower. His development going to be slower because a defensive line with shoulder surgery is a massive surgery for a defensive lineman. And by the time his shoulder started feeling better and getting better, he was playing pretty good football at the end of the season. And so, and he got better from the year before. And now with a season of not having no off-season surgery, and now he can just be in his bag of just getting himself together, and he's got the experience going on. Man, we looking at a guy, if he don't jump off the screen even more, then he's a bust. But I believe he's going to jump off even more. He didn't have a bad year last year. And Tolbert, again, his first year, we didn't even see him on the field. Second year, he started being on the field. He caught a couple touchdowns, 20-some catches. This year, the man won you a game in Pittsburgh. Did he play better than Pickens? Now, I'm not saying this is. I'm not comparing him to Pickens, and I'm not putting him in competition. But still yet, a spade is a spade. Did he play very well in Pittsburgh? When he had his quarterback? And then we want to judge him after his quarterback gone with a guy that we ran the ball more because this guy could throw. We talking about going down the field. Cooper Rush could throw the ball down the field, man. And we're going to judge a guy on that? And he had better numbers. And if I tell you this, and we want to talk about numbers or whatever, he got this is almost the same amount of catches that Smith from Philadelphia had and got the same amount of touchdowns. I put out a post a couple of weeks ago, and I'm gonna repost that. And I'm talking to the thirsty fans that, and I'm not saying I'm talking about this is our thirsty mentality when we jump off and start running with other things because we don't even know what we really have. If I told you this, and I hope I got a lot of people and people, whoever looking at this live, when I go to my YouTube page, when this over with, and put a comment and repost it out there for everybody, share it with everybody. But I'm hopefully I can make a short of this part. What I'm about to say. Cowboy fans, did you know that the Kansas City Chiefs didn't even have a 1,000-yard receiver? And they had a bunch of guys with 700 yards. No, 2 or 3 guys. They had 2 guys with, one guy with 800 and 2 guys with 600 yards. Nobody talked about their offense. Philadelphia had 1,000-yard receiver and another DeVonta Smith had 800 some yards, and the next guy had about 400 yards. Nobody talked about their third wide receiver. Last year we talked more about the third wide receiver than anybody in the league. We still be talking about our third wide receiver now. Like, man, we need so much a third wide receiver. But these offenses was efficient. But the only thing that made the Kansas City better than the Cowboys and Philadelphia is they was 1, 2, and I think 1 and 2 in defense in the league. But then their offense was that explosive. Their defense controlled things, and their offense was consistent. And that's all you want your offense to be, consistent. But I hear people on ESPN and Fox and everything talking about, man, Pickett's gonna put up great numbers and we're gonna have 2,000-yard receivers. Well, how many teams in the league got 1,000-yard receivers, 2,000-yard receivers? We act like that's a commonplace that happens, like that happens all the time in the NFL. That may be 1 or 2 teams in the whole league. The last time Kansas City had 2,000-yard receivers, probably when they had one tight end and wide receiver. When they had my man there, the cheetah. They went back-to-back Super Bowls without having 2,000-yard wide receivers. So why do we think that that's what we need? I said this in the barbershop when I was in the barbershop and people laugh. I said Las Vegas make a lot of money because people try to go against the odds. And I'm looking at the odds and say, and I know everybody can say it's an exception. Yeah, it's an exception. It can happen. But if we take 10 instances and you can give me 1 time it happened out the 10 or 2 out the 10, you really don't have a valid point with me. Because what you're doing is hoping on a miracle. Not saying it can't happen. No, everything got exceptions to the rule. But being gun-ho to say that's how I'm going to do it, and then you fail, and then you fail again, and then you fail again, and you still say that I'm trying to do it that 2 out of 10. What can I say? You already know the answer to that. And then we got people say, well, if Pickens have a great year, we're gonna pay him just like the Bengals played their 2 wide receivers. The Bengals ain't paying their defensive end right now. He getting 17 sacks a game, and he can't even get a contract. Why? Because there ain't no money. The Bengals ain't got no all-pro offensive lineman like Tyler Smith. I bet you they ain't got nobody on their team like Tyler Smith or Terrence Steele on their offensive line. I guarantee you. I guarantee you they ain't got a quarterback that's better than that had the better years than Bland or Diggs when he healthy. Damn right they can pay their receivers. They ain't got nothing else. So look at context before we start talking. But most of the times, it don't be our great Cowboy fans. Most times we get fooled by other people putting out opinions and in the windows, people who do not care about the Cowboys, and they put stuff out there to get you all in trance, to get you off of what really can make you a championship team. Listen, 80% of the games the Cowboys win, and this is not saying Dak Prescott, but listen, that's the same thing with a lot of other great quarterbacks. But if he is successful in a certain thing where he wins 85% of the time, why have we tried to, in any playoff run, we have not tried that philosophy? There has not been a playoff game that Dak Prescott has played in that we say that we're going to go into the game and dominate the line of scrimmage. Think about it. If you could think of one time, put it in the chat. And that's the games we won and the games we lost. The 2 games against San Francisco that we won, and the game was less than a touchdown score, we ran the ball less than 23 times combined with 2 running backs in each game. And the game was close. Because what we say as a Cowboy Nation, and I'm finna hurt a lot of people's feelings now. I hope I got some people listening. The Joneses they give the Cowboy fans what most of them want. They want news and drama, and they want to be pass happy. Because they want to be pass happy because they want a reason to blame Dak Prescott. Do y'all remember the stretch Dak Prescott had before he hurt? Remember he hurt his calf in the New England game, and we were dominant for those 6 games before that. I think we won like 6 games in a row. And we would run the ball at a clip of not no 70% of the time. We was running the ball at a 56 to 57% clip of our plays. And we were 6-0 just steamrolling people, running for almost 200 yards. Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott was just dominating. And we got into the New England game, and we ran the ball 30 times in that game. Even though it wasn't successful, it wasn't like we break. But Kellen Moore, and this is where I know, because now I'm listening to Kellen Moore. And I don't think Kellen Moore is a great head coach, because I don't think he's a leader of men. But I remember what Kellen Moore said after that game. He said we're gonna keep run. We had to get our attempts in because eventually those runs would come later in the game that instead of being 1 or 2 yards, there'll be 4 or 5 yards, and it keeps us on schedule. And Dak itself still threw the ball 40-some times in that game. Didn't he? Yeah. And we scored a lot of points. Now, go back to what Coach said before about defenses. If we run the ball 30 sometimes and we threw for 40 sometimes, what I told you about any defense, I don't give a damn how good they are. If they on the field, if you get 70 snaps or 75, 80 snaps against them, they're gonna break like paper. And that's what New England defense did. break like paper. Dak threw these exorbitant passes, and a lot of those passes came in overtime because he wasn't no running the ball then. So he threw the ball like 15, 20 times there, but it was really balanced in that game. But he came out, had great numbers because, it was overtime, and he did great. He hurt his calf. And then they went on the 3-letter network and the 4-letter network went on and went on and on about this was a record. And they kept talking about how much he passed the ball and how much he did to pass the ball. And then what happened was all of our Cowboy Nation started talking about throw the ball, man. We putting that ball up in the air, this and that. And the Joneses saw the algorithms like YouTube. And they said, they put that thing in the air, baby. And from that game on, the offense never looked that good no more. And I don't believe it was with Kellen Moore. Hey, man, y'all know Coach Maul was hard on Kellen Moore. And I still don't think he's a leader of men. I think he's becoming a better offensive coordinator, but I don't think he's a head coach guy. But I don't think the pass happy thing was him, because I saw him break ranks with it too easily in Philadelphia. And then when I started looking back in his history of what coach he came from under in Boise State, even Boise State threw the ball, but that coach in Boise State, and I forget his name, but he didn't retire, but he was a physical coach. They always had great run games in Boise, but they did put the ball in the air, but they always had good run games. And I said, Kellen Moore wanted to run the ball more, but that was Big Mike. Big Mike wanted to throw that ball because he converted to do the same thing he did in Green Bay. And the year that they ran the ball in the playoffs in Green Bay, check the history. The year that they ran the ball in the playoffs, and they had one of the best defenses in the league with Charles Woodson, they won the Super Bowl that year. And they had the leading rushing team in the playoffs. I ain't say the regular season. In the playoffs, they were the leading rushing team with Dorsey Levis in it. Check it out. Go look it up. But every year they wanted to pass the ball all the time, because he didn't believe in that. He talked about it, but he didn't believe in that. And Kellen Moore left Dallas not because they ran him out. Kellen Moore left Dallas. You think if they fired Kellen Moore, they're going to interview him for a job? Kellen left Dallas because he didn't want to be under Mike McCarthy. And then Mike proved to you, because they ran the ball less when McCarthy left. When Kellen Moore left. Mike proved to you, but he talked about it. See, that's what I'm talking about when we talk about change the culture. I don't want to have a coach that talk about it. See, McCarthy said what you wanted to hear. The Joneses give you or interview what you want to hear. If we want to believe in the run game, we still should chat. But this is how our nation does. We'll start talking about the run game, and soon as we get to the draft and they have one wide receiver out there, we go right back to saying, get that weapons. This man we thought a second wide receiver. Brandon Cooks left here and told you. Now, one thing I'm gonna say about Kellen Moore, watch how he used Brandon Cooks this year. Deep over routes, seam routes, 9 routes down the field, everything going towards the goalpost, using his speed to run away from people. He is not gonna run him in those slants and those stop routes across the middle or out on the outside. Nope. He ain't. And I've said in the live stream with Boss Cowboy Sports for many years that the passing game, and Kurt Warner breaks it down. All these people broke it down, and all of them had problems with the route concepts. Like it was really, even the guy that hates the Cowboys, hates Dak Prescott, the one that loves that talks on ESPN, that loves the quarterback out of Buffalo. He loves him. But he said, man, with this offense, Dak is gonna have a hard time winning a Super Bowl with the McCarthy offense. It just need to be changed. And when we start using CeeDee Lamb like he's supposed to be used in over routes, down the field, on the move, watch CeeDee Lamb come even tougher. But stop getting him in the rounds and throwing the ball outside for him to get beat up. Like you ain't got no other shifty guys for that. Get him out the field, down the field, in an open field. And he's gonna put up even more. Because that's what he came out of Oklahoma. Open field, yak yards. Not with his back turned to the goalpost catching the football. So the Cowboys fans, the coach staff giving you what you want. I mean, the ownership giving you what you want. They know that if they get Pickens in here, they're going to get y'all going to go crazy. If they were trading a guy running back here, y'all be like, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's all right. But y'all get a receiver, oh, man. Everybody saying we going to be in the Super Bowl now. I hear people talking about, come out passing and then make people put too high up there and then we can run the ball. Let me tell you something. When coach says this, and this is not about running the ball, it's about establishing a physical presence in a football game. Now, I'm going to believe Schottenheimer on one thing, and I'm going to see if he's going to come back to his belief, because what he said 2 years ago, or 2 years ago, in an interview when he first came offense coordinator under McCarthy, everything he said then, we never seen it came to fruition, because y'all talk all this crazy stuff. If y'all are fools to watch that offense for the last 2 years to think that Kellen Moore was running the offense when Kellen Moore was here. All that stuff was McCarthy, and McCarthy had his hands on this offense since day damn one. He just wasn't calling plays, and y'all would be crazy to think Kellen Moore said, "You run the offense, well, hell, I'll let me go to get out of the way and let you call it too." Because what changed? You'll be a fool if we look at this and say, well, you know something? No, it was different when Kellen. No, it wasn't. Matter of fact, it even got worse. Well, then somebody told me, well, Dak was almost MVP with Mike McCarthy. Didn't Dak have almost the same numbers 2 years prior with Kellen Moore? This is showing you how great Dak is and how much talent you have. And you had a bland offense, and they still made it look good. That's why I say offense ain't never been a problem. You got enough talent in this offense right now to rock and roll, but you never made it easier for your quarterback. Because instead of taking pressure off our quarterback for him to be successful, we still adding with being thirsty. And everything goes back to being thirsty. And that's the job of a coach, to make the game easier for your players. Philadelphia made the game easier for Jalen Hurts because they knew he was a good quarterback. And they said, we're going to make it easier, and he's going to shine, and we're going to win. But in Dallas, we got to get money, and we think we should give him everything then. Because we asked him to prove that he make the money, and giving the Joneses the green light to throw everything on Dak Prescott, because that's what we do. I think it's a travesty when you only get up there and say, man, we going to go as far as Dak Prescott take us. What kind of coach says that? What kind of owner says that about a football team? And he know how many parts it's got to deal with a football team. No, he said that for because fans say that. And he want to say what the fans say. Because he trying to cater to the fans. If he catered to his team as much as he tried to cater to the fans, if he looked at the stats of how his team wins and what's the blueprint of when they're successful, and then instead of watching the damn algorithms of what people talk about in the football team, he might get a better chance of winning the Super Bowl. Worried about the wrong things. Jerry, Steven, if they went on they went into the analytics and say, man, when we have 100 yard, when did we ever had a 100-yard rushing game in the playoffs? I'll wait. When we have ever gave a running back more than 20 carries in the playoffs? I'll wait. So the best way to stop a running team is being able to run the ball yourself. Duh. When we ever won a playoff game without defense? I'll wait. And history of this team, with you, Jerry, and without you, showed you that when your defense was dominant, you won Super Bowls. But I know what we saying as fans, we paying them $60 million, a quarter of a $1 billion quarterback. Man, that's what the position pays, man. All the quarterbacks getting way more. That's what the position pays, man. I said in my last live stream, if you are an engineer and an engineer paid $150 an hour, I don't care what size the company is. That's every year my company that I work for, they do a analysis of jobs, and they do an analysis. This company do analysis that tells you what is the average salary and the salaries in different areas that a job is paying for. They didn't say nothing about how successful the place is or what it is. They talk about this is what the job pays there. That's the position, and when you go someplace, that's what the salary is going to be in that range. That's the position of that's the nature of the job. And the nature of the job of quarterback in the NFL is to get the most paid on the team. And when you play on the team, if you get your second contract or third contract, most times, if you do okay, you get what we call a merit raise. So that's the position of that. So stop worrying about that and stop even cowboy content creators. I get so burning hot when we, as black content creators, mention about him making $60 million. When we mentioned about him being a $250,000 quarterback. Don't we know we falling for the trap? Because know who mentioned how much he get paid the most and puts that in our mind? Again, what I say that I want our content creators and our cowboy nations to stop doing. start getting into windows and seeds put into you by statements of people that don't give a damn about the Cowboys winning. And then you take that same stuff and argue with your own Cowboy family. That's just like you got a family and you go outside and there's people that don't like your family and they keep telling you about your brothers and sisters and they keep talking about, oh man, he think he better than everybody, this and that. And then you start listening to them and then you come back in and then you talking to your family and then you start repeating about, people think you all that anyway because you be doing this and that. And you start arguing with your own family because you got the seeds of some craziness from somebody who don't even care about you or your family. That's why I don't even listen to other people. One thing you ain't gonna see Coach Marv do. Coach Marv ain't gonna make no show about, and I'm not saying, and listen, everything I'm saying is not denigrating nobody else. I'm just talking about me. Not saying I'm trying to stop nobody else's hustle, right? But you ain't gonna never hear me. And I'm not gonna give you a story about, oh man, the people say Dak Prescott ain't a top 10 quarterback. Why are you listening to their opinion anyway? I always told y'all this. I'm not gonna listen. I'm not gonna take no criticism of our players from nobody that's not gonna give us no advice. In my life, I don't take criticism from people that I can't get advice from. If I can't get no advice from you, I don't take no criticism from you. That's just how it is. So I don't really listen to guys out there that really don't like the Cowboys. You think I listen to Stephen A. Smith, whatever he say the Cowboys need to do? For what? If he tells us we need to do something, it's always he telling something that's going to be to our detriment. Listen here. He's so hyped about Pickens. Talking about, oh man, I think they might be dangerous now because they got Pickens. No, because he wants you to go all pass happy. Because he wants you to see your quarterback throw the ball 40 times a game and get out of rhythm. And then when you come up short, then he gonna laugh at you. Say, because he know if you run the ball and your defense is good, he know ain't no stopping you. Because he know history. Don't you know when our Cowboys defense was playing really well and we would win a game by defense, they were saying, well, Dak ain't putting up no numbers. They winning on defense. They ain't putting up no numbers. When they start talking about Jalen Hurts ain't putting up no numbers, and they talking about it was all about Saquon Barkley. Guess what Jalen Hurts said? Okay. Yep, it is Saquon. He's doing a great job. And know what Philadelphia said? All right. Well, yeah. Hey, yeah, we still winning games. Yeah, that's our blueprint to win. And we don't give a damn what y'all talk about, because y'all trying to get us to do something that ain't our game. This is what our game. And if a Cowboys front office and coaching staff would be to stop being worried about the algorithms of what people are saying, most of them don't even like us, and worry about what the analytics say of the style of play that we win and we win big at, and try to get back to that, then we'll be all right. Like my grandma said, used to tell us all the time, I'll tell us kids, say, most times your problems because you worry about the wrong, you be thinking about worry about the wrong things. And 90% of our problems in our lives, people, come from three things. 90% of our problems in our lives come from three things. And we got these three things corrected, in our lives, we'll probably cause ourselves a whole lot less worry. You know what those three things is? Doing something we had no business doing. That's right. Some people say doing something you had no damn business doing. Right? Doing something you had no business doing. Being someplace you had no business being in. And minding the business of somebody else. Correct those three things in your life, and you probably knock out 90% of your worries. And that's what I'm talking about with the Cowboys. Doing something we have no business doing because all the algorithm says, hey, be a balanced team, focus on getting your defense together, making defense a weapon. That's Coach Marv saying. Defense is a weapon. Taking the emphasis off Dak Prescott to win the game and letting Dak Prescott do what he do, but saying we need to win this game. Who else in this room gonna win the game other than Dak Prescott? Being somewhere we ain't supposed to be, being in these chat rooms, being in these groups talking about, oh man, what the Cowboys need to do, all this stuff about being on these draft shows, the players getting all hyped up. Man, forget all that, man. Get yourself focused in this season of doing something that's the hardest thing that you're gonna do in your life, Cowboy team. It's hard, man. We got to put a team together, man, to come together collectively and to get up this mountain, man, and climb that mountain and get to the top of Mount Everest. Mount Everest. And last, minding somebody else's business. Minding the business of people that don't care about the Cowboys. Minding what they say. Listening too much of the pundits when they denigrate your team. Because as soon as you start winning, they're going to pump you up just to find a way to tear you down. Just get locked in, man, on your own stuff, man. And stop being so thirsty. We gonna get it. But the only way we're gonna get it is hard work. Dallas Cowboys. We the star. And I know y'all seen the coach talk about this. The star. And know what the star means? Seen, talked about relentlessly. Yeah. Seen, talked about relentlessly. The S is for seen, the T is for talk, the A is for about, and the R is relentlessly. And we have talked about relentlessly to get us off track, off the goal, and get us all over the place, then getting focused on a culture that's built off being who we are DNA wise as a football organization. In the 60s, the 70s, and the 90s, and if you look back when Tony Romo played, when we had our best year with Tony Romo, when we had our first best years with Dak Prescott, our defense was better, and we was a physically running football team that could strike in the passing game. We wasn't just a cloud of dust, but we struck in the passing game for points, but we controlled the line of scrimmage. We did that in Roger Staubach era. We did that in Troy Aikman era. We did that when Tony Romo had his best year. We did that when Dak Prescott was almost an MVP in this rookie year. So why are we going away from the blueprint? Because that's what everybody says it's supposed to be? Or that's what people say, oh, because he makes $60 million and he's supposed to be the quarterback? He supposed to get more, we're supposed to throw the ball more? Because we think that way, we think just like the Giants, which got the worst organization in football. They had a little meeting. The general manager said, hey, we're not gonna sign Saquon Barkley because we not want to make him the focal point of the offense because we had signed Daniel Jones to this big contract, and why we gonna sign Saquon Barkley to be able to hand the ball off to him, and we got this big contract quarterback. And how did that work out? They didn't make the game easy for the quarterback. They said we paid the quarterback at this big salary, so we're gonna put all the emphasis on him, and he didn't fare well. They got rid of focal point. Philadelphia picks up uh, 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 Saquon Barkley, brings him in with a quarterback making more than the quarterback they had in the Giants, and they were strong enough to say we're gonna bring him in and be the focal point of the offense. And Jalen Hurts will still be there making plays, and he'll be the focal point of offense, and we'll win the Super Bowl. So let's not worry about it. Wrapping up what I'm saying, man, let's not worry about the Philadelphia game. We got a long way to go, fans. And that's what I mean about let's don't be thirsty. We got a lot to put in. And we want our team to be hungry the first game. But we know we're not gonna ride everything on it and say it's gonna be make or break off the first game of the year. Let's don't do that. Defense is gonna win you a Super Bowl. So defense is a weapon. And that's what I'm gonna be focusing on this whole year. And I'll be focusing on the defense, and I'm gonna be focusing on the offense doing things that will help the defense be successful. And I'm gonna look at how our team is gonna lean. If our defense is good, how our team is gonna lean on our defense to put them in the right spot to be aggressive. And I say this, and Dak Prescott, well, his brother gets this or whatever, when y'all share this out there, you ain't got to put up no numbers now, Dak. You ain't got nothing to prove to nobody. You have been a quarterback that got two major contracts. You've been a quarterback, and your endorsement deals is outrageous. And you've been a lead quarterback and been a hell of a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. You ain't got nothing to prove to nobody by putting up no massive numbers. Now you just want to do something no quarterback has done since in 30 years, and ain't that many quarterbacks in Dallas history have done. Your team win a Super Bowl by any means necessary. Troy knew how to put his ego aside and all the pundits. Because I remember people used to talk about Troy couldn't put up the numbers Dan Marino did. He couldn't do that. You know what they tried to do? They tried to get him off. They tried to get him off the spot and try to make him feel that he was a little less than everybody else. They say, "Oh, you ain't winning no MVPs because you don't put up no numbers." They tried to get him off that, but he had a strong enough coach to say, "Hey, man, don't listen to all that. We gonna do what we do best, and we're gonna make the game easier for you. And then when you get that chance, you're gonna do your thing. And when they start talking, tell them you can't hear them. And they're gonna say, why you can't hear them? Because you got your Super Bowl rings in your ear." So that's all I want you to do, Dak. I want you to believe in the running game can win football games for you. That's what Brady do. Brady knows he can. Man, it been games. Brady be like, "Hey, man, we're gonna run it down their throat, and then I'm gonna pull it out of the belly, and I'm gonna hit Gronkowski down the seam, and I'm gonna hit 3 or 4 passes down the seam, and I'm gonna make this game a light game, and I'm gonna throw 3, 4 touchdowns, and you gonna think that I did. I was the man, and I know we just beat up people up physically." Trust your team. Trust our coaches. Put our pressure on our coaches, say get them ready. And let's don't be thirsty. Let's be good Cowboy fans, but let's don't be thirsty. Thank y'all for y'all time. I didn't think I was gonna go 2 hours. I hope I touched the bases on a lot of stuff, man. If you're on this live stream, man, I like, man, um uh all the people that was on the live stream, man, the comments, man, I really appreciate y'all tuning in to old Coach Marv. Give some philosophy and talk some things, man. I love it, man. It's great therapy for me, man, with going through some things in my life with my family. But man, this is great therapy for me, man. And I appreciate y'all, man. If you get a chance, man, share this content. Share this with other people, man. If you got platforms out there on X, if you got platforms on Facebook, you got platforms on other Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram at Coach Marv 1914. You can find me um, uh, on X at Coach Marv 1914. Um, uh, Look me up on Facebook as Coach Marv, and send me a uh, send me a friend request so you can be a part of that. I'm in some cowboy groups, man. But if some of the cowboy groups are listening to this, share this with the cowboy group. Share this with other people, man. We're gonna talk real talk. We're gonna talk about real stuff. I'm gonna give you some of my coaching experience of things I went. I'm gonna give you some life experiences because all this relatively works together. I still think the brothers out there, man. I am only here. I am only a product of what I'm doing on this YouTube thing of the great friends that I've gotten in Cowboy Nation, like Boss Cowboy Sports and Amp Sports and Lou and Law Nation and JC Sport and Big Time Show. These people who gave me an opportunity to be able to talk on their shows, even with call-ins, or to get on the shows and be able to talk football because we all love the Cowboys. And for us to always throw out ideas, man, follow those guys. Keep pushing, man. Do not fall out. Remember, do not take outside advice and criticism and bring that into your house to our Cowboy Nation. Because be very fearful of it because it's poison. It's poison. And sometimes you just got to not listen to it because you don't want to listen to the poison. Thank y'all again. Salute. Until next time, let's go Cowboys.